Yeah, that's it. I'm Doc Hammer. People ask me, what's your real name? And it's still Doc Hammer. At one point, I was Eric Hammer, but when you get older, you're allowed to change your name. And I changed my name to Doc Hammer. I do a lot of things. I've been a painter and a musician. I use the past tense for I have been, but I'm still a painter and a musician and a writer and a voice actor. I helped create a show called The Venture Brothers. I care deeply about music, but I fetishized it. And when I was a kid, my favorite band was probably Susie and the Banshees. And as a band, and if you people who look at Susie and the Banshees in this kind of long view, you see Susie Sue, who is iconic and she's riveting. But for me, I didn't care about that. I mean, I did. She looked great, let's be honest. But what I cared about was how good that band sounded. They were the best sounding band I've ever heard. What's the guitarist for Susie and the Banshees? And that's a really weird question, because Susie and the Banshees barely had a guitarist throughout their career. They've had many, and they barely had one, but at one moment, they had a guitar-driven sound, and that was when John McGeoch was in the band. So I'm a little kid learning to play guitar, and I wanted to align myself with that force. And I also aesthetically loved the look of John's guitar. A guitar is an object that you have to nearly be in love with. I always choose guitars that look better than they sound. I don't fucking care how they sound. Let's be honest, it's a piece of wood with strings on it and an electromagnet. They all kind of sound the same. Get the one that makes you excited, that is just beautiful, that you want to strap on and go, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing. So years go by, and I'm still kind of obsessed with John's guitar, and I start finding out what it is. And it's not a Les Paul. It's actually a Yamaha. It was called the Les Paul Killer. Like, it had an actual designation. People really took notice of these guitars. Gibson did. Gibson said you can't even call it an SG anymore. But John went for the lower model. When Yamaha first released these guitars, they had the SG 2000, and he had the 1000. I thought it was black. Also, it's kind of a goth band. Shouldn't he have a black guitar? It's not. His guitar is tobacco burst, which is like a reddish brown that goes into a blondish color. So I thought John had an SG 2000, which has the double cutaway, and it was black. So I got myself an SG 2000 that's black. Thinking, I got it. I got the John guitar, done. I was wrong. So this became my guitar. This guitar plays so much better than John's. And I wish I could somehow just resurrect John for a million reasons. I just want John back in this world. But first thing I would do is go, take my guitar. It plays so much better than yours. When John McGeoch died, I wondered what happened to that guitar. And I would just go online all the time and try to find it. And one day it just came up for auction. And I didn't know what to do. I was in a near panic. If you spend your life looking for the Holy Grail, and then the Holy Grail is online, what do? I don't require it, but a part of me requires nobody else have it because I'm a bad person. Johnny Marr from the Smiths, and John Frusciante, who was also really, really into the way that John played. They also were interested in it. I wanted this guitar pretty bad, so I went to auction and I acquired the guitar. I wish it could be a longer story. It's just not. Something comes up and you go, yes, I will pay for it, and I will pay the most for it. So when I first got it, I didn't know what to do, and I walked around the apartment like this, baby style. Like, I just held the guitar like this, and I didn't really want to play it. I was like, I have the guitar. And then I think I put it down and played maybe a Susie song on it. Felt like an idiot. It's like a moron. You just feel like a moron playing the thing that you love, that influence. Like, I don't play like John does at all. I loved his guitar. I love his playing, but it's not really what spoke to me. It's something that I wanted to preserve and wanted to make sure was around and valued and not just forgotten. It's a horrible end to that story. I did put it in a presentation case and I had a plaque made. If you're listening, Banshees, I know you might not tour again. I can play those parts. I can play them on John's guitar, and I'm not an alcoholic. I might be like a bit of a dick and be like, oh, we should only do the stuff from Juju and Kaleidoscope because that's the good stuff. And then you'll be like, how dare you tell us what's good? Huge argument. I'm thrown out of the band before we even start. So maybe I've solved it. The offer still stands if you'd like to get an argument with Duck Hammer about what your best material is. Liking Susie and the Banshees then is like liking Susie and the Banshees now. It's always a bizarre pocket of excellence. And that's what made this guitar even more special, because it was the object from the tiny pocket of excellence. You know, the one thing that you could have, but you can't, because I do.